This moment too is a part of your journey. This experience, whatever it is that you're going through, it's part of your journey. It's part of the unfolding of your story. I think that often we go through these very difficult experiences, and in those moments, we're so occupied with everything that's going on that we lose sight of everything else. And I would just urge you to recognize that no matter the difficulty, no matter the degree in which it is overwhelming you, no matter how large it appears, how unovercomable it appears before you at this moment, that it will pass, one, and that two, it is a part of this journey. It is a necessary part of everything. I think that people think that, let's say you're a creator, and you have some books you want to write, for example. And so you read and you write, and you read and you read and you read, and you synthesize all of these documents and these ideas, and you're charting out these outlines and these chapter formations and all these things. You're collecting the bibliography, all of these things. And then you write and you write and you write. And there are moments in which, when you reflect on what you've written, you are overcome, for example, maybe feelings of doubt. Or maybe you become overwhelmed with how much longer the road is ahead of you. Or maybe you feel, hey, I've written all of these things, I encountered this new information, and I'm no longer thinking that what I created was good enough. But this is all a flawed perspective. Because the product is not what you're creating in front of you. The product is you. You are the product. You are what is becoming. You are what is developing. And I think that everything that we have that we view in a positive way can also be viewed negatively. And all of our negative thoughts can be viewed in a positive light as well. For example, people often deal with insecurity about many things of their character, many things of their life, right? And then people feel doubt and fear about certain things. And we can analyze and trace the causes of these things. But if I go back to the insecurity example, insecurity of, hey, let's say the creativity example or the gym example. I want to make this sort of amount of progress in the gym. And I feel insecure about where I'm currently at because I'm not at where I'd like to be. Well, the very ability for one to feel insecurity about some ideal they projected for themselves is evidence of their desire for that ideal. It's evidence of your willingness to become better. And it's so interesting, it's so paradoxical how the very things that motivate us, the very things when you set out on that journey, on the journey of health, for example, and you create greater and greater images of where you would like to arrive, right? The journey that begins with something really positive in mind begins almost very rapidly to be overcome with all of these negative, paralyzing, inhibiting feelings, right? And it's not because those feelings, are wrong, actually. And this is what I mean by this too is a part of your journey, is that those are necessary things you're encountering on the path of development. The feelings of doubt, the feelings of fear, these things are real. They exist. And they're things that we encounter. But they're things that we have to encounter on anything and everything that we're striving to do better on. And so rather than focusing on the feeling and saying, oh, this thing is paralyzing me, recognize it within the scope of your journey, right? The periods in which you're growing rapidly are also followed by periods in which you slow down. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. A flower blooms once a year. That's what it does. It is preparing itself throughout the year to produce something. And the perspective of, well, I need to, in any area of my life, go. I need to be at 100% of the time is just not possible. However, in accepting that reality and accepting our own ups and downs, we not only accept ourselves, but we accept our journey. We accept the necessary parts of our journey that are helping us grow, that are helping us develop. And I'll say this, not even not even should we just view these things as necessary, we should even think experiencing them. And you might say to me, Ines, what are you talking about? How could I be appreciative? How could I think a feeling such as anxiety? How could I think such a feeling as insecurity or anything like this? Right? These things just suck. But the reason I would say perhaps we should thank them is that we can recognize them in the context of our own development. And we can say, wow, I'm experiencing this obstacle. And once I've overcome this obstacle, which is necessary on my journey, I will be better equipped to not only encounter this obstacle again, but I will have made progress on the journey. And that's the thing. Sometimes a break is actually a step forward, ironically enough. Ironically enough. And I suppose what I mean there is that if we take the perspective that all of these experiences are a part of our journey, then we introduce to ourselves the idea of learning from what we're doing, the idea of self-reflectively and introspectively thinking about everything that we've experienced and that within that experience. And we grow from it. And moreover, I believe that we accelerate our development from that point on, that we increase our speed, paradoxically enough. How can the experiencing of the paralysis cause us to accelerate our development? Because in viewing that experience as a part of our journey, we begin to accept it and we begin to synthesize it into our own development. Because ultimately what we're doing is we're affirming ourselves, we're affirming our own growth. And I think this is the last thing I'll leave you with, and this is a shorter video, I think. I've talked about the dark night of the soul, when things get pretty rough and how the night is darkest before the dawn breaks. But here's an additional idea to think about. Once light breaks, it breaks in degrees. It breaks in degrees. We don't live in a 0 or 100 world. We don't live in a binary. We don't live in absolute and nothing. Right? And so allow that light to slowly shed upon you. And allow that light to slowly shed upon you. Allow yourself to grow in degrees. And accept that whatever it is that you're going through in this moment, whatever it is that you're experiencing is part of that growthful journey. That this moment itself, no matter what it is a part of whatever it is that you are pursuing. It is a necessary part. And so if you feel that it is an obstacle, stop. It's not an obstacle. This too is a part of the journey. This too, in the context of writing, this too is a chapter to write. In the context of art, this too is a painting to draw. This too is a course to pass. This too is a step to walk. And if we view it that way, we no longer view it as paralysis. We view it as progress. And so I hope that everyone watching and listening can continue to progress day after day, step by step.